Hi, I'm Joel from Practical Shooting Explained. Today I want to talk about what Dryfire is to practical shooting competitors, why it's so essential, and kind of how it varies from maybe what some other people consider Dryfire, what they do for Dryfire. So the main reason why it's almost a necessity, really, is because it's something you can do every single day. You can practice almost as much as you want. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to drive to the range, drive home, load ammunition, or buy ammunition. Maybe there's an ammo shortage. Obviously, the cost of ammunition, it's expensive, so you can't just be shooting every single day. So this makes it so regardless of budget, you can be practicing at home every single day if you'd like to. A skill to use as an example for how practical shooters dry fire differently than maybe what's been done traditionally is trigger control. I know it's kind of been the old standard where in dry fire, somebody's training on their trigger control. They'll line up the sights on a target, a wall, a clock, whatever. Maybe they balance a coin or a brass casing on the front side or on the slide or something like that. They line up the sights on the target and then they basically just keep gently pressing the trigger, press, and at some point before the sun goes down, the hammer falls, and then the measurement for success is, did the front sight move? Did the brass or whatever, the coin, whatever I was balancing on top of the slide fall off? And then if it didn't, maybe that's good because then I held the gun straight when I pressed the trigger. Well, for practical shooting, unfortunately, we just don't have that much time. Because when you're in competition, you see a target you want to shoot, you can't necessarily bring the gun to the target and then just gently press until the gun goes off. So in competition, when you see a target, you bring the gun over to the target. Once the sights get where you want them, you're going to press the trigger now, quickly, because it's a timed event. You want to be fast. So a drill I really like is called trigger control at speed, and that's something that can be done in dry fire. The way to do that drill is you line up your sights on the target, you react to a beep, whether it's a par time on like a shot timer or an app on your phone or some kind of a start signal, and basically you don't prep up the trigger at all. My fingers just gently off the trigger. I'll react to the buzzer or the beep, the signal, and when I hear that signal, I'm going to press the trigger immediately as fast as I can, and the goal would be to have the trigger press done and the hammer falling before the beep's even done while the buzzer's still sounding. It's actually tougher than it sounds. So if you're really watching the sights very carefully, and then you try to press the trigger now, sometimes people will push down the gun just a little bit. But then if you think about just a little bit at 7 yards, it doesn't mean much. But if you're aiming at the target in your dry fire area and it's only a few feet away, and the sights go down just a little bit, at 25 yards or at 15 yards, that could be a lot. You might be off the target. You might be under the target. So the goal of the drill is to press the trigger very fast without having the sights move at all. So again, sights are on target. I react to the beep. When I react, I smash the trigger immediately as fast as I can, and the goal being the sights not moving at all. So that's an interesting test to test your grip, pressing the trigger without moving the sights, and being able to hold the gun still. There are also some skills to work on that it's maybe even counterproductive to use ammunition on. An easy example to use is the draw. If you're working on hands relaxed, at your side, reacting to a signal or just going whenever you're ready, drawing the gun from the holster, getting your grip established, and getting the sights up on target, you really don't need ammunition for any part of that. It just adds one more thing to driving back and forth the range, making sure your gun's loaded, maybe more ammunition to purchase, ammunition to reload, whatever the case would be. So it's really easy to work on that in dry fire. Again, the gun's in the holster, my hands are relaxed, or maybe my hands are a surrender position or on a table or something like that, and then just reacting to the beep, drawing the gun, and presenting the gun on the target the way I hopefully want to do at competition. The points to assess on something like that are when you draw the gun, making sure you get a proper grip. For example, maybe I grip the gun when it comes out. My hands, I just don't have the grip I want. My support hand's really, really low, or I feel like I missed my grip on the draw, and I grabbed the gun way lower than I was hoping to, or any number of things like that. So by working on that in Dryfire, I could just draw the gun out of the holster and then kind of just assess my grip. Am I gripping the gun properly? Am I gripping the gun with the right amount of tension? Are my hands positioned where I want them to be? And then also, where do my sights show up? Because I want to look at a spot and just have the sights show up where I'm looking. So again, another skill I don't even need ammunition for. I look at the spot, I bring the gun to where I'm looking, and then are the sights going where I want them to? Another administrative or gun handling skill to work on is magazine changes. So I could work on having the gun up on target, reacting to a par time, a buzzer, or just whenever I was ready, hitting the button, dropping that magazine out of the gun, getting the magazine off my belt, off a table, seating that magazine in the gun, and then going back out to the target. So another skill that it's really not even helpful to have ammunition for it. You can also learn things in Dryfire that maybe it'd be a lot tougher to pick out if you were firing live ammunition. And an example I like to use for that is target transitions. When you're on the range, you're shooting live ammo, the gun's going off, it's noisy, gotta really hang on to it hard. There's a lot of things going on. For target transitions, it could be described as looking at a spot, bringing the gun to where you look, looking at another spot, and bringing the gun to that spot. Well, like I said, if the gun's going off, you've got to hold on to it. It's really tough to see what's going on sometimes. You could do that in Dryfire, where I set up some targets, simulated, at different distances, and I work on just drawing my gun and seeing how the sights track. And as they move from target to target, are they stopping where I want them to stop? Maybe they accidentally moved past the target and they didn't stop where I want them to. Maybe I stopped too short. Maybe when I'm getting the gun there, I'm stopping. My gun's really bouncing around. The sights aren't stopping smoothly on the target. So you can learn a lot, again, from not even spending ammunition, but just being really keyed into what's going on, what the sights are doing, how your hands, arms, shoulders, all those types of things are interacting when you're working on your Dryfire. The really key part to all of the skills and the drills I've been describing is that I'm using all my actual gear that I would use in competition, using the gun I'd use in competition. So really, for all those skills I was just talking about, I'm basically simulating exactly the way I'll want to behave and working on the skills that I'll actually use in competition. So I grip my gun just like I would if it had ammunition in it. And then in reality, I'm training just like I would be training on the range, only I'm doing it from my house, from my Dryfire area or basement or a room that I've got set up for Dryfire. And I can do all that maybe 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. And I could do that a couple days a week. Maybe I do that 4 or 5 days a week. Maybe I do it 7 days a week. So I kind of do it on my own schedule in training the way I'm actually wanting to behave in competition. So it becomes really, really important and a really good learning tool because, as I mentioned, I can train as often as I want from the comfort of my own house, and it doesn't cost me anything. So hopefully this has been helpful and kind of explaining why Dryfire has been so critical in my own shooting and in a lot of people, in the shooting sports. So if you have any questions about this or any other content you'd like to see us cover, please leave it below in the comments. Thanks.